Alright guys, let's talk about item power and how it impacts every single item in the game. And so we're looking at this two-handed axe here. It has an item power of 776, and that 776 number is directly going to translate to the very top stat on the item, which is 2090 damage per second. And if we're looking at a piece of armor, this 784 item power, it's going to directly translate to the armor value, the bold white text, the 1372 armor. What it doesn't affect is the rolls below it. So this damage versus healthy enemies, the basic skill damage, everything like that doesn't matter as long as you're in the same tier of items. And the tier breakpoint is item power 725. Okay, guys? So what this means is that as long as you're above item power 725, your items can roll the same stats as an item power 800 weapon, for example. However, obviously you prefer one to have higher item power for weapons, specifically because the damage increases. So to kind of show this example, this one's item power 784, and its total armor can roll from 3.1% to 7.3%. And then this one is only item power 756, but its armor value can roll from 3.1 to 7.3%. So even though this has, a decent amount of item power levels on it, the actual secondary rolls are the same because they're the same tier of weapon, which is Ancestral or item power 725 plus. And just because an item power is higher on one piece of gear doesn't instantly make it better, especially if this has really good rolls. Like if this had armor, damage resist, it would be a lot better than one that was 30 item power level higher that just had mediocre stats. And we can kind of showcase this example specifically for axes down here. So we've got 37% to 79% basic skill damage down on this axe because it's ancestral. However, this item is only sacred because it's below item power 725, and its basic skill damage can only roll 29 to 59%. So that's much less of a roll. And that's why we prefer having only ancestral items on our gear whenever we can upgrade, because not only does the armor, the damage of our gear go up, but specifically the secondary affixes all can roll higher. Now, one thing item power doesn't matter that much is specifically for rings. So as you can see, this one has 786 item power, and this one has 762 item power. And the only difference between the item power for rings here is because they're both ancestral, they're both tier 1, they can all roll the highest possible live, critical strike chance, critical strike damage, stuff like that. The only difference is this initial implicit, the shadow resistance and the poison resistance, which goes to 25% on this, and only 24.4%. And this is so negligible that you don't really care if your one ring's only item power 730, you're mainly looking for the right rolls. However, when we're talking about weapons, like for example this Ancestral 810 item power sword, it deals 2,389 damage per second, and if you compare it to this sword, which is only 773 item power, it does 2,066 damage per second. So item power matters the most for weapons because we get a huge damage multiplier. It's helpful for armor because an extra 50 armor is nice, however, the rolls are more important than the actual item power. And then for items like rings or gloves that don't really scale that much armor, we're mainly looking for the stats. Alright guys, and now let's talk about how much it costs to enchant an item and how it varies depending on what you do with it. Now this is important if you're trying to get the most value for your gold. As you can see, this helmet, which I haven't upgraded, I haven't imprinted, I haven't rolled before, currently costs 72,366 to reroll. And now we're back, and I've upgraded twice to the vendor here, and let's see how much it costs to reroll now. So now it's 73,998, so that does cost slightly more if you upgrade it. Alright, and now let's just throw on an aspect. We'll call it this one. And now let's see how much it costs to reroll. It just jumped up almost 50, what is that, 50k? It just jumped up. So if you guys are trying to roll your item, make sure not to upgrade it and enchant it with an aspect first before just hitting the rolls that you want. Alright guys, let's show you another cool mechanic with items that you guys may not know about. And let's say we're just going to our Codex of Power, we want to implement this aspect of the protector on our helmet. And you can see how it says it gives us a barrier for 8,954. However, the rolls are only 3,000 to 6,000. And why this is because my current level scales the imprint specifically of the flat number ones. So if we were to look at, for example, a different aspect like this percentage one, it's not going to change the percentage one. But if we go to this, well, we can find another flat one right here. Right here, this fortify one also scales based on my current level. So the flat number ones, you guys want to be imprinting when you're a higher level. Also, it doesn't really matter. It's not scaling based on the item power of my helmet. As you can see, this is 780, right? And so let's put in the 686, and it's still the same amount. So I believe that the actual amount that you're getting, the amount of fortify here that you're getting, is tied to your current level. So for me personally as a barb, the 3 stats I want on my boots the most are movement speed, fury cost reduction, and movement speed after killing an elite. And now, as you can see on these boots, I have a good movement speed roll. I have a good movement speed after killing elites roll. So I'd just be re-rolling the 3rd stat to movement speed, or sorry, to fury cost reduction. And for these boots, it'd be pretty similar. I have fury cost reduction and movement speed after killing elites. So I'd be re-rolling one of the other stats to try and hit movement speed. So both of these are good projects. However, once I start getting into 1 mil roll, 2 mil roll, 3 mil roll, it's better to just consider that item bricked, in my opinion. Don't worry about it. Don't funnel all your gold into it trying to hit it. I would just wait until another item like this appears and then just start, hit it for 10 or 15 rolls. And there's certain items like these boots. Now they look kind of good. They have good movement speed, they have dodge chance. However, it's impossible for them to roll for me to reroll 2 stats. So this is kind of just a 1 stat boots for me. And I would consider this a brick, like an item that's not worth anything. I would hover over it and I would just instantly decide that it's trash and I would vendor it. Alright guys, let's talk about what to keep, what to salvage. You have an inventory full of loot, you don't really know what's good, what's bad, and the best way I've found to do it as quickly as possible is just to click this sort thing, so it's going to sort them by item power and order of their armor type. So for example, we're going to have all the chests and then the two-hand weapons, and any ancestral weapon, I'm going to hover over and check its stats. And for chest pieces, I'm looking at if it has 2 bad stats like strength, intelligence, ground stomp. All of these are bad stats. I would instantly know that if it has 2 bad stats, it's bricked. It's not really worth the time. I'm going to skip past it. So this has a couple of damage stats. It's bricked. This has resist. It's bricked. This has resist and thorns. It's not good. And I would just be doing this a lot quicker. And then I would go on to the two-hand weapon. I'd see this is 810 item power, so I'd be interested. However, it has 2 bad mods, damage over time, damage while berserking. Not really interested. We'll skip to this one. It's 781 item power. I'm really only interested in weapons that have over 800 item power, so I know that every single one of these future two-handed weapons are going to be lower than 781 because the way that they're in descending order. So I would just instantly skip down to this. This has a 29% roll on an okay aspect, so I'm going to keep it. I'll just throw it on the floor for now. And this is 786. Again, I'm really only interested in 800 item level plus, so I'd skip all the one-hand weapons down to the gloves. This is also a decent one, but a little lower than I would actually use. So we're looking for on gloves, we're looking for critical strike chance, we're looking for +3 to a rank, and we don't have either of them here, so it's not really usable. We don't have either of them here, it's not really usable. And then for pants, we're looking for damage reduction, armor, and life, and that's about it. This only has one of those mods, so it's not good. This has a couple mediocre mods, not really good enough. And then, of course, finally the boots. And these boots, aspect aren't good, so I would just go ahead and sell all of this, guys. Alright, so guys, that's going to be the end of the video. Hopefully you guys can evaluate items better. And I'm going to link this website down in the description. It just shows you the tiers of what you can roll. For example, if your item power is 725, you can roll between 4.4 to 10% cooldown reduction. It tells you where you can roll cooldown reduction. We'll also click on another item here, like, for example, Fury Cost Reduction. So this is the Amulet roll on Fury Cost Reduction, can get up to 16.5%. And then here on Boots, it can get to 7%. So this website should be able to help you guys out. If you guys like the content, make sure to subscribe. And until next time, guys, good luck in hell.